Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about trying to navigate the workspace because it can be confusing and you may not know how to deal with certain things, certain people. And for this next segment, we're dealing specifically with trying to get a raise. How do you go about it? How do you walk into the office with such confidence that they say, yes, ma'am, we shall give you what you want? And I've got an expert with me right now. I have to read out her titles because it's just incredible. Her name is Sarah Richardson. And listen to this. She's an award-winning global speaker and trainer, a human development expert, an organizational development consultant, and an executive coach. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Sharon.
What a title. Wow. Do you carry that with confidence when you walk into a room? I usually like, oh yeah, I've been around. I know what I'm doing. Give me my raise. Thank you.
I do know what I'm doing, but I don't think about it consciously all the time that this is who I am or whatever.
Right.
But I do, yes, know what I'm doing.
You know what you're doing.
Yes.
So I can imagine that when you walk into a room and you're, asking for a certain amount of fee or raise, there's certain tips and tricks you've learned over the years that, will grant that, will make sure that whatever you ask for is granted. So basically what I want to know is what that is. I want all the tips and tricks you have, let us in on that, so that we can also get what we think we're worth. So the first question, how do you go about approaching the subject of getting a raise with your boss? What's the best way to do that?
I think one of the first things is you need to signal to them that you're looking for growth. And there are two types of currency, I believe. Growth is a currency, but finance is also a currency. I think the problem is some people just focus on the financial aspect without looking at how have they grown and how are they growing the business and adding any impact to the organization.
Okay, can you give me an example of that?
So for instance, maybe I've been working in an organization 3 to 6 months. I have learned certain things through my induction process. You need to be journaling what are the achievements, almost showing what was and then where you are at the point where you want to go and ask for a raise. So what I always advise people, each week, take that 1 hour at the end of the week and just journal on the stuff that you've actually achieved, because nobody is going to do that for you. What they tend to do is wait for twice a year to do a review, and usually it's driven by the manager and their perception on what you've delivered. So you need to journal for yourself and say, I've delivered this and that and that. And if you'd like, you can also send unsolicited reports to your manager and say, this week, I did these 7 things. I actually managed to achieve, 3 things out of the things that you said were hard. These were low-hanging fruits, and these were harder stuff, and I managed to do that.
That
and you
is
keep that journal and a record.
Give yourself an hour a week, write down what you've done.
Yes.
Because it even makes you your own accountability partner. And yet sometimes people think, can walk into an office and ask for a raise, but then when you ask, so what have you done? It's like, I came to work. That's not enough.
I call that the rat race mentality, because what you tend to do is be so busy doing stuff, and because you're not thinking about what you're doing, you can't remember it. So you are running the rat race, you win the rat race, but you're simply a winning rat, because there's no thinking going on behind that.
Right.
However, somebody else comes in and does 3 major things, major achievements, journals them, and then does 3 other major things the next week and journals them. After 9 weeks, you can imagine 3 times 9 or 3 times 10 weeks, they are able to be, looking at what they've done, what they've achieved, and the impact on the organization, either at performance level, team level, and profit level.
Right, and it's not a cocky thing. It's not an arrogant thing to do that.
It's a smart thing, Sharon.
I love that.
Smart thing to do.
Smart thing.
Yeah.
So how long should someone wait before even, trying to come to have the conversation of getting a raise?
In the older generations, people waited for a year. In fact, they waited for it to come to them.
Okay.
In this day and age, I say the careers are moving much faster. There's rapid acceleration in terms of career and growth and being able to achieve stuff. So I think project by project, based on the complexity of the stuff. I mean, if you read now, there's books on sprint, the sprint methodology, being agile and being able to sprint. That's usually a timeline of 3 months to 6 months. You're able to actually, and I've seen in organizations as looking at rapid career movers and giving them quantum leaps rather than career steps. So the days of the career step has gone.
Wait a second, Sarah. You're saying that even every 6 months, maybe even 3,
Yes.
it might be wise to sort of broach the subject of getting a raise?
Absolutely. Because Sharon, sometimes I hire you and say, hey, come and do reception work for me.
Yeah.
You come to reception and I find that I have so much typing that I need done. And then probably there's a client who's coming, I need you to close that deal,
Okay.
or I need you to
Yeah.
walk into a meeting with
Right.
me. Come on, I'm extending your responsibilities. So
Yeah.
it's okay for you to have a
Right.
conversation with me within three
That
months.
makes absolute sense. And you're right. In this day and age, we're like expanding so quickly,
Yes.
learning new things
Yeah.
so quickly that you can't just be comfortable in the same space and accept the same salary for years on end.
And in the rise of the lean and mean machine organizations,
Yeah.
where organizations no longer want a volume of employees,
Yeah.
but they want fewer employees who are multidimensional.
Yeah.
So I want one person who can do a bit of finance, a bit of marketing. They can, talk their way into clients and
right,
everything.
Yeah. So then, say I've done that. I've been getting the 1 hour a week. I've been writing down what I've accomplished. I've been sending it. I'm very strategic.
Yes.
I'm now ready to go up to my boss and ask for a raise.
Yes.
How do I do that? How do I have that? Is it a face-to-face? Is it an email? How do I start the conversation?
I love record. So it would be nice for you to maybe say, could we have a conversation, or could I book a time in your diary? What I actually would recommend for a smart person, obviously, to do is to have that weekly or bi-weekly meeting with the manager, just to touch up, say what were the challenges, what are the highlights and everything, and recording something like that. But then over and beyond that, now when you're meeting at that specific period,
Yeah.
maybe 6 months later
Yeah.
or anything, you say, we've been discussing my progress throughout. You've
Yeah.
been seeing what I've been doing, the value that I've been adding and
Yeah.
everything. And I just would like to probably have a conversation around having a raise.
Yeah.
So is it okay for us to sit down maybe on Friday or anything?
Okay.
They might want to just slip over that, if whether they want to give you a raise or not.
So it's not fair to come in and say, hi, I want a raise.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely not.
You sort of ease them into like, this is my
Yes.
intention. When
Yes.
can we schedule a time?
And first
Give
of all,
them-
before the intention, is this is my value add.
Okay.
This is what I've done and everything.
Okay.
So then you link what you've done to
Yeah,
reward. We always
yeah.
say performance is linked to reward.
Okay.
So it's performance-based
Right.
reward.
Yeah. And then have them sleep on it and then schedule a time for when you can
Yes.
then
Yes.
have the real conversation.
Yes.
Is there a figure that one should, like a percentage? You should, when you go in, is there like an average amount? Like, is it 10%, 5%? What kind of increment would be fair to ask for?
So many things play into it, Sharon.
Yeah.
First, there's a group of employees we call the niche type. Yeah. So if you belong to a niche type of role, and I saw it when I was a global director in the tech space, we had those roles that I had to hire either from Cambodia
Yeah.
or from India or
Yeah.
from wherever. You just can't find those types of people here.
Yeah.
The conversation will be different and
Okay.
sometimes regular. Right?
Hey, okay.
Because you could be poached or stuff like that.
Right.
Or are you in a peripheral role? So which is a role that supports the niche and the core
Yeah.
kinds of roles.
Yeah.
The core type of role is the role that without which an organization cannot exist. So for a school, the core role is a teacher more than the
Yeah.
headmaster.
Yeah.
So I could lose a headmaster, but I need to have teachers in class.
Right.
So depending on what type of role you hold, then when you come in, you can ask for a certain percentage, because you have to know your importance and value to the organization.
Yeah.
But if you just come blind, to get a no is very easy.
Yeah.
So-
but you have to come with your facts and everything.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk about women asking for a raise versus men. In my experience, it's like men have this kind of like confidence, this bravado, this I will come in and I will ask for it, versus women tend to shy away and but also are often overlooked. What would you say about that, about women and specifically women going in asking for a raise in the workplace?
So because I've worked across so many cultures and across the globe,
Yeah.
I've tended to see women behave differently in different settings.
Okay.
So in other cultures, you find that they're more forward and
Yeah.
they're asking for what they want. Right now, there's a lot of talk around the girl child and
Yeah.
everything. So they're becoming actually even more confident
Yeah.
than men. I've seen men who are muted or still waiting
Yeah.
to be asked and everything. So for me, again, it's a varied approach. But in the African culture, there is this messaging to a woman around modesty. You almost feel guilty for asking what's your right.
Right.
You almost feel guilty for positioning your value,
Yeah.
even articulating it.
Yeah.
I send off my profile sometimes to people and they're like, whoa, did she just put all that
Yeah.
in her profile and
Yeah.
stuff like that? But my advice to a woman is you need to profile yourself, position yourself, so that when you come on board, it is that information and your footprint of what you've actually achieved and done that gives you the confidence to ask for that raise.
Right. So own it,
Yes.
put it out there. And again, more and more women are doing it. And if we continue having this conversation,
Yes.
then there's no shame in asking for what you're worth.
And I can assure you, our daughters will be very, my daughter is in university and she's not scared for
Yeah.
asking for pay, even if
For
she
a
washes
raise.
the car or
Yeah.
babysits the kids. But I think in our generations and maybe even the older one, but that messaging is also diluting as time goes by and
Okay.
confidence is built.
Okay, okay. So what's more likely to get you a raise? More work experience or higher education?
I use a framework called the SKEEN,
Okay,
SKEEN.
okay.
I believe the people who get rapid raises are the ones who have the entire skin. So S stands for skills. Skill, when you walk into that office, Sharon, you've got to talk. It doesn't matter whether you're the technical expert, whether you have the highest degree, or
Yeah.
if you can't articulate your value when you're sitting in front of me, I'll shut you down in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's important that you have the skills either for presenting yourselves, for putting together stuff,
Yeah.
consolidating your value. Then K stands for knowledge, and that is where your qualifications
Right.
come in. So definitely make sure also you go for short courses, long courses, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then experience and exposure are the two that are very important. And finally, your network.
Your network.
Your network actually adds value to the bottom line of an organization.
Right.
There are certain problems and solutions that lie in the market.
Yeah.
That if Sharon picks her phone, she can sort it in 2 minutes, while somebody who's qualified in that role picks the phone and has to call 15 people and no solution. So your network is important.
That's huge.
Yes.
That's huge. I'm also curious to know about, like, an employee could walk in and sort of like threaten to quit as a strategy to try and get a higher raise or get them to be like, oh, come on, come on. Would you advise anyone to do that? Are there strategies that that people employ that could either damage or help their pursuit of a higher pay?
Because I'm HR, I'm trying not to speak from a HR perspective. Let me give some tips to the employees.
Okay.
It's a bad strategy to threaten.
Yeah.
I'd rather you have a conversation and you show your value and do your homework and see what people of your value are being paid out in the market as well. Then deliver value before you start even having that negotiation.
Okay.
And then look around and see who else could step in and do what you do very easily, because you'll
Right.
be replaced like that. But if you can't be replaced, if you're irreplaceable, then have those facts, have a conversation and say, I'm willing to stay. I want to also see that my value is being appreciated and everything. So those threats, for me personally as
Yeah.
HR, I call you out on your bluff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can go, and if you're replaceable, I'll replace.
Yeah, and I also just don't think it's the right energy. I don't think it's just too devious, I think, to try and like go that route. And
Yeah.
again, wait till you get fired and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, no, I was just joking.
Yes.
But are there other strategies? Are there things that besides what you've shared, you know, an understanding of your performance and what you've done, is there something else? Like, would a good relationship with HR management, and not in an inappropriate way, but does something like that, just being able to have a conversation with them and have like a good work relationship, help out?
One of the biggest strategies is be visible. I always say there are only
Be
two types
visible.
of workers.
Okay.
And we are not taught that in school, but
Yeah.
it is the reality.
Yeah.
There are invisible workers
Yeah.
and visible workers. So make sure your work is visible and you are visible in one way or the other. So building your personal brand within an organization
Yeah.
is something very key from the day go. So when you join an organization, in your first 90 days, do something that nobody else has ever done and put that under your belt.
In your
Find out
first
what
90
yes,
days.
within that role, do something nobody has ever achieved in that role in 90 days.
All right.
That gives you visibility.
All right.
That gets you to talk to the right people or gets you noticed by the boss or
That's
whatever.
a really good strategy.
Absolutely.
That's a really good strategy. All right. Thank you so much, Sarah. I think we've ended it on a strong note. For anyone watching, do something in the first 90 days that gets yourself noticed. And if you've been working for a couple of years, do something now, okay? You've got 90 days, do something that will get yourself noticed, and then go in and ask for a raise. All right, we'll be back in a moment with more about this corporate world and how to navigate it. So don't go anywhere.